If you've ever had to deal with an ISO certification, you know it can be a total maze of paperwork, clunky manual processes, and, let's be honest, some pretty stressful audits. But what if we could just digitize all that complexity? Today, we're going to break down a system that promises to do exactly that. So let's dive right in.
All right, here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off with the challenge of certification itself, then introduce the digital solution, Otitiso. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how it works, look at the key benefits, and finally, we'll peek into the future of compliance.
Okay, so first let's set the stage. The road to ISO certification has, for the longest time, been paved with manual headaches, scattered management, and just a mountain of physical documents.
For a lot of organizations, this picture is painfully familiar, isn't it? Desks overflowing with binders, processes that live and die in spreadsheets, and that constant worry in the back of your mind. Is our documentation even up to date for the next audit? It's a reactive system, and it's just begging for errors.
So that begs the question, does it really have to be this way? Is there a smarter, more agile, more centralized way to handle compliance?
And this is where the solution we're looking at today comes into play. Otitiso, a German-made platform brought to you by Corporation Black-Built SAC, is designed to take you from that manual chaos to a streamlined, simplified system that lives in the cloud. So what is Otitiso exactly? Well, at its core, it's a complete methodology that lets you centralize your entire ISO management. The keywords here are auditable and scalable, making sure the system not only gets the job done today, but can also grow right alongside your company.
Now, what's really cool about this idea is the concept of living documentation. This is a fundamental shift, right? We're talking about leaving behind those static documents that just get old in a folder and moving to a dynamic system that actually updates and evolves in real time with your organization. All right, so we get the what, but now it's time for the most important part, the how. How does OTITS actually pull this off? What's the engine driving all this automation? The fundamental answer is this: everything is interconnected. The power of Otitiso isn't in a bunch of separate modules. It's in its ability to link every single piece of information, a job role, a process, a risk, a piece of evidence. Nothing exists in a vacuum, which gets rid of all those inconsistencies that plague manual systems. This whole interconnected web is organized around 6 main pillars. You've got governance for the rules, processes for the work, people and their skills, risks to anticipate and control, data as your objective evidence, and finally, technology and AI holding it all together. Together, they create this complete, robust management ecosystem. And here's the crucial starting point. Otitiso isn't some generic one-size-fits-all template. The entire system is built and fed with your organization's real specific information. It starts by learning who you are and how you operate. And you can see exactly how it all begins right here. The system actually ingests foundational documents like the standardized CVs of your entire staff and the company's complete org chart. From this foundation of people and structure, it starts to weave that web of compliance. Let's see how this build-out happens. It's a 3-step flow. First, structured capture, where every piece of data comes in with metadata. Second, intelligent processing, where the Otitiso engine connects that data to the specific requirements of the ISO standards. And finally, automatic generation. And this is the magic part. The system creates the procedures, matrices, and records that auditors need to see, all on its own. Plus, technology and AI aren't just an afterthought here. They're part of the core. They're used to analyze data, beef up cybersecurity, and provide advanced analytics, making sure your compliance isn't just automatic, but also intelligent and responsible. Okay, so now that we understand the how, the next logical question is, so what? What are the measurable results and strategic advantages of putting a system like this in place? First up, 100% coverage. This means 0 blind spots. Every single process within the system's scope has performance indicators and a clearly defined owner. No more gray areas or scrambling during an audit trying to figure out who's responsible for what. Second, 24/7 monitoring. The system doesn't sleep. It's constantly tracking key indicators and will send out automatic alerts if something goes off course. This lets you manage things proactively instead of finding out about problems when it's already too late.
And third, a pretty ambitious goal, a compliance target of at least 90% on service-level agreements for the most critical business processes. This shows a focus on operational excellence, not just checking boxes, but making sure the business is running at its best.
Beyond the numbers, the strategic advantages are huge. You get complete traceability from the original data point all the way to the final document, solid evidence for any audit, and centralized change control. Plus, it's adapted for the Peruvian regulatory framework and can integrate multiple standards, like ISO 37001 for anti-bribery or 27001 for information security.
And finally, let's talk about the future. Because implementing a solution like this isn't just about solving today's problems. It's about getting ready for the challenges of tomorrow.
The end goal is to transform the organization into what we see in this picture, a modern, efficient, and most importantly, resilient entity, ready not just for the next audit, but for whatever technological and regulatory changes are coming down the pike.
And here's proof. The system is already prepared for the new era of artificial intelligence, incorporating compliance with the latest standard for AI management systems, ISO/IEC 42001. Now that's thinking ahead.
So we'll close with a question for you to think about. Seeing how technology is totally redefining quality and security management, the question isn't if digital transformation will come to compliance, but when. Is your organization ready for that shift?